So now we look at developing the vision. There we go, good. So developing a vision. I mean, when we want to develop a vision up, it's important that it is something that we personally feel passionate about. You know, it's very hard to develop a vision for a team or for a department or for a piece of work if we don't also feel personally about it. So what is it that you personally care about? What are the things that really give you energy? What are the things that you're passionate about? Maybe you need to try and dream without any limitations. So say to yourself, well, if money was not an issue, what would I be interested in? If time was not an issue, what would I be passionate about? You know, try and blow away the limitations and say, what is it that you really do care about? And then think, well, what is it that you really want to do? Because your passion can't just be a theoretical thing. It has to, at some point, be turned into practice. You know, what are you going to do about it? What needs to be done? Maybe having a good understanding of your own strengths and weaknesses, or the strengths and weaknesses of your team, will help to clarify what is it that you want to do and are able to do. How would you like to spend the next 5 years? You know, what would be on your to-do list if you were to try and articulate it in that kind of term? And then try and find a way, make it happen. You know, what would be the next step? Is there something that is holding you back? Is there something that stops you from taking the next step? You know, maybe as you try to form some sort of strategies of how you're going to move forward, sometimes it can be we can get distracted away from the original why. You know, what is it that is powering us forward? So don't lose sense of that passion, the thing that it is that you are called by. Maybe don't be bound by today's operational possibilities. What is your vision? It might require other people, other resources, which currently are not there, but that might come. And it's also okay to recognize your own self-doubts, but move past them and say, yeah, I don't know if this can happen. Okay, yeah, but now go past it. What does vision look like? You know, can you start to articulate it? And as well as in terms of what you are wanting to do, you can also be thinking in terms of who do you want to be. It could be, who do you want to be personally? It could be, who do you want to be as a team? How do you want to be different? You know, if you intend to be in a different place in the future, maybe you need to start behaving in that place right now. Because as you start to put it into practice and into reality of the today, so there is more chance that it will become a reality of the future. As we're trying to develop a vision, and we can come up with all kinds of great ideas, but also don't reject the idea that vision can be revealed. It can be a part of a process of revelation. You know, often I think visions are revealed to us. Sometimes little by little, sometimes all in a big pow. There it is. But I think often they do not come complete. We don't know all of the details when we start to get a sense of what a vision looks like. So what are some of the road signs that we can use to try and gauge, are we on the right direction? Are we moving in the right way? Well, the first one would be to say, are there some sort of absolutes that you can lean on that can help to guide you? You know, it could be the values of your organization. It could be the Bible, if you're a Christian. It could be some foundational absolute that you say, whatever I do has to align with this. That can help give you a sense of am I moving in the right direction? It could be some sort of inner voice. Some people feel that they're doing the right thing, but they can also feel when they're not right. It could be, some might describe that as the peace of God working in our hearts. Of course, it can also be our personal desire, not just the stuff that, that is fun and we like and we enjoy, but what are the things that really bring us joy, And sometimes we might need to say, Lord, not my will, but yours, as we are gradually being transformed internally. It may be that we can look at the circumstances around us. Sometimes we realize that a door is closing or has closed, or another door has opened, and opportunities suddenly appear. Open and closed doors can be quite instrumental in helping us to find our right vision. It may be that we need to talk to other people. Finding people who are wise doesn't necessarily mean terribly smart, but people who are in touch and who really get it. There's a verse in the Bible that says that good kings have good advisors. And of course, we should also be using our common sense to test any kind of vision that we think we're going to put out there. Of course, we're looking to have inspired ideas, but they do also need to make sense. If they don't, it's going to be quite hard to sell it to other people. And of course, sometimes there can be, let's call it special guidance. Sometimes God will speak directly to us, but you can't force him to do that. And when he does, the best thing to do is simply to obey. Okay, once we're starting to get a sense that, yes, we feel that we're going in the right direction, are there some things that we can do to test the vision? My personal experience is that when a vision is given, let's say if a vision is given by God, he doesn't then run away and leave you to it all on your own. But equally, you can't run away and leave it alone. If it really is a vision that is inspired, it can be described as like a burning in your bones. It's something you just can't let go of. It may be that we need to develop a vision in the company of other people. That when we talk about it with other people, they too are inspired and they say, yes, we've tested this, we believe that this is the right thing. And that can also help give a confirmation that we're going in the right direction. And of course, time is also a great confirmer. If we think that we've got a great vision one week, and then by the next week, it's gone away, maybe it wasn't such a great vision. But if you can say, I think this is a good vision, I'm going to put this down for a month, and I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to see what I think then. Sometimes in that process, in that passing of time, sometimes that can really confirm or refute whether it was a good vision or not. So there's this process of testing the vision to be really sure, is this what I should be doing with my time? And then it comes to articulating it. Because if you want other people to be inspired by your vision, you have to articulate it some way, whether it's written or verbal or whatever. And I would often recommend trying to make it into to articulating it in a smart way, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. It needs to be both a dream of how you want things to be different in the future, but when in the future. Be specific, put a deadline on it, then it really becomes a vision. And say it out loud. Maybe before you try writing it down, as you say it out loud, maybe even if you do write it down, try saying it out loud, because even if you're reading out words, as you say it out loud, sometimes you'll realize you're using slightly different words than is written on the page. Revise it. Keep revising it. Speak it out loud. Say it out loud. Just talk to to the wind, and talk to other people. And as you articulate it to them over and over again, you actually find that you're using slightly different words, and you start to modify a little bit how to articulate it, and it becomes better worded. Of course, it's also good to share it with other people. Let them form it and shape it a little bit. But share it with people that you trust. If you share it with people who have other intentions, other agendas, they could modify it in ways that are not really what you want. And then finally, you need to write it down at some point. And when you do write it down, I would suggest that you write it down using present tense, and that you use words that are full of energy and passion. But make sure that what you write down still fits inside the higher goals that you need to work within. So if you're trying to develop a team goal, does that team goal still fit within the organizational goals, etc.? So that's that sort of making sure that nesting process has happened correctly. Of course, we can also look at a little bit of best practice that's out there. Other people have said that the best vision statements have a few different criteria. And, when you research what does a good vision statement look like, many different people will say different things. But some of the things which are fairly consistent is that vision statements should be inspirational. They should be clear, they should be memorable, and they should be concise. The average top 30 statements in this list that was made by topnonprofit.com, they've done a survey of what they believe to be the best mission statements, and they say that the average for the top 30 statements tends to be about 14 and a half words. And the average for the top 15 statements, so the cream of the vision statements, they've only got 10 and a half words. So in other words, you have to, it may be wise to keep your vision statement quite succinct, brief, because then you've got a better chance of being able to remember it and use it. If we look at some of these vision statements. So TED, you've heard of TED Talks, spread ideas. That's their vision statement. Very simple. The World Federation of UN Associations says, we are a united nations that is a powerful force in meeting common global challenges and opportunities. Again, very succinct. Yeti Airlines in Nepal. Prosperous Nepal with significant contribution of aviation sector. About IKEA. They say they want to create a better everyday life for the many people. Great. About Tata Motors. As a high-performance organization, we are, by the financial year 2019, and so it goes on. Bit of a list. Not sure that that's the best. How about UNICEF? All children have a right to survive, thrive, and fulfill their potential to the benefit of a better world. Not bad. How about World Vision? They say, our vision for every child, life in all its fullness, and our prayer for every heart is the will to make it so. I'd like to share with you a little bit of, I've got another one, sorry. Nabil Bank. Our vision is to be a bank across all geopolitical zones and socioeconomic strata of the nation that can provide myriads of financial solutions and create values for all of our stakeholders. Sorry, I'm lost. Vision of INF, life in all its fullness for Nepal's poor and disadvantaged people and communities. Vision of UMN, fullness of life for all in a transformed Nepali society. Okay, I will now share with you a little bit of personal. This was when I was the communications director for INF. I had recently taken over the job. I had all kinds of interesting ideas. I'd watched, I'd listened, I'd asked, I'd dreamt. And then I was ill. I had a bad back. I was laying down for days. And when I finally came off of some of the pain medication and so forth, I just knew that I'd got a great vision. And I wrote it down. I wrote it down in one splurge. I poured it out, and I didn't have to alter it very much. And even, 2 or 3 years later, still, I felt that that was a good vision. That INF Communications Department will coordinate and improve the quality of all of INF's communications and engage all stakeholders in telling the story of what God is doing in Nepal through INF. And that vision then helped me to build a team, recruit people who said, yes, we believe in that vision too, and to lead that department forward to do some good work. So sometimes you have to build a team vision. Sometimes you have the privilege that you can just do it yourself and say, hey team, this is our vision. But sometimes you want to do it together with your team. And in which case I would suggest this process. It starts out by asking your team a bunch of questions. You sit around a table and you say, tell us, what do you personally care about? And again, that seems a bit of an odd question. But by taking the time to go around the table and ask the different people, hey, what are you passionate about? What is it that gives you energy? One, you start to learn some interesting stuff about your teammates. But it's also a very good way of starting to build a sense of, well, okay, if we're going to, as a team, build a team vision that also incorporates all of our personal visions, then actually it is important that we start to learn what are each of our personal visions. Secondly, we can say, okay, what is the future organization that you would be proud to be a part of or to build up? And again, each person says what they think, and they paint a picture of the future organization or the future team and say, this is what I want it to be like. And then when everybody has had a chance to articulate, then you go around again and you ask every single person individually to say, what did you hear? What was the common thread that you heard in all of those different perspectives? Because of course, back in stage number 1, these are individual to the people. In number 2, they start sharing their perspective on how they think the team might look different in the future or what they might be doing differently in the future. The third one, you then ask each individual to say, what did you hear when all the different team members were speaking? Was there a sort of a common thread that you heard? But try not to influence each other. Each person needs to be very honest and say, well, this is what I heard. And it's still a personal perspective. And then, as a team, you can start saying, well, okay, what are the common threads that we all heard? When we start to write this down as, what was the common thread that you heard? What did you hear? What did you hear? We start to get a sense of, actually, all of us are saying this. And none of us mentioned this. And that can help to give a sense of, what does the team vision look like?